Hello and welcome to another episode of Chuchu Reviews, the show where I take 4 random unrelated albums and I stick them in a blender and then I review them, I rate them and I rank them. Simplicity achieved. Now usually the show includes records nominated by you guys, but as it happens, a lot of new albums are released by artists of interest recently, so this episode is going to round up a bunch of them for your ranking pleasure. With the exception of one record, there is one solitary nomination in here. So let's have a butchers at this week's combatants in alphabetical order. First we have Weirder and Weirder by Ballpark Music from 2022, which was nominated by Existence Time itself. Then we have Wormslayer by Kula from 2026. Next we have Nothing's About to Happen to Me by Mitski from 2026. And finally we have Makeup is a Lie by Morrissey, also from 2026. So now the battle lines have been drawn, let's be complete rankers and rank up a storm. This is Chuchu Reviews. Coming in last place this week we have Weirder and Weirder by Ballpark Music from 2022, which was the Australian rock band's 7th LP. Despite their significant success in the home country of Australia, I have to confess to not knowing a whole heck of a lot about Ballpark Music. In fact, the only album of theirs that I had heard prior to this was their most recent album, Like Love, which had a rather typical indie folk jangle pop element to it. So I was quite surprised to find out that this record is completely different, foregoing the twee indie folk for the psychedelic Britpop style usually employed by Kula, who are also coincidentally featured on this episode. And unfortunately that's just not good news for Ballpark Music. This album is completely fine, even if it doesn't entirely hook me in. Weirder and Weirder is a solid offering that's pleasant to listen to from start to finish, but it just doesn't hold a candle to Kula's Wormslayer, which is basically doing exactly the same thing as this record, just doing it significantly better. And I do feel a little bad for Ballpark Music having to face direct comparisons with a red-hot Kula in chest-beating form, as there are some good songs to be found here along with a cohesive swampy atmosphere. Pleb Rock catches the attention with its indie guitar riffs, Britpoppy melody and lo-fi garage rock sensibilities. There's definitely more than a sniff of pavement about that tune. So too on the smooth balladry of Stars in My Eyes, which has a nice streak of melodicism running through it. Title track Weirder and Weirder has a fun kind of off-kilter catchiness, as singer Sam Cromack informs us, "When my mama was young, they put a bun in the oven. That was me. I am the bun baby. Now my mind is a casserole. Every year they add one more thing. It's getting weirder and weirder out here." The folky, beautiful Blueberry sinks into a field of lovely acoustic guitars and wistful lyrics, while The Present Moment scores a win due to its lo-fi indie pop being leveled up by an immediately catchy chorus and some nice atmospheric touches towards the climax. But not everything entirely lands. Some of the more rocking tunes like Right Now and Sunscreen seem tethered to the idea that being noisy is its own reward or reason for existing. They bluster along the distorted guitar furrows without ever really finding a strong melody or salient lyrical point. But yeah, Weirder and Weirder still rounds out as an enjoyable album. It doesn't excite my blood or make me want to dive further into the Ballpark Music's back catalogue, but it is good for what it is. Again, I might have liked it more if it didn't have its ass absolutely leathered by Kula on this episode. Sometimes comparing and ranking things has its drawbacks. As my mother always used to tell me, if you rank too much, you'll go blind. 3.5 stars. Next up we have Nothing's About to Happen to Me by Mitski from 2026, which is the American singer-songwriter's 8th LP. And here we find the indie goddess having to follow up the mainstream breakout success of her previous album. This land is inhospitable and so are we. That record was intensely downbeat both musically and lyrically. It was straight up one of the most miserable records of recent memory, but in a good way. On this, Mitski retains the miserable lyrical content but freshens up the musical sound palette with a lot of clattering guitar energy. It's a mix that works really well, calling back to the artist's raw earlier work while still maintaining the melodic pop sensibilities that powered records like Be the Cowboy and Laurel Hell. Highlights on a tight, wiry release would include the cracked, elegant balladry of Inner Lake and Cats, which goes straight for the heartstrings with their slumping sense of resigned sadness. Where's My Phone bumps and grinds along its catchy indie rock, as Mitski sums up my general feelings about her by breathing in the line, "I'd fuck that hole all night long." What? Don't look at me like that, she wrote it! Dead Woman is rad, as Mitski imagines her death and the vultures circling in the aftermath, as she venomously spits, "While I dream of flying, stab me 27 times. Ransack the house for what you'll auction and what you'll keep." The Loge ballad I'll Change For You has a creeping desperation pulsing under its smooth lacquer, while The White Cat slaps with its snarling post-punk jaggedness and superior lyrical content, as Mitski uses a cat as a metaphor for misogyny and chauvinism, sighing, "I see him through the window, the white neighbourhood cat marking my house. It's supposed to be my house, but I guess according to cats, now it's his house." So yeah, Nothing's About to Happen to Me is yet another alluring album from Mitski. She's just operating on a really consistent level of quality pretty much all the time. She's such a unique artist with a very specific niche that she has nailed down to a T. Mitski has basically become the queen of sad girl pop, and this is a really great addition to her discography. 4 stars. Next up we have Wormslayer by Kula from 2026, which was the band's 8th LP. And what in the blue hell is going on with Kula, eh? Where are they getting this mojo from? The band has totally smashed up to new heights in the 2020s. I mean, in the 90s they were fine, like a nice Indian flavoured Britpop also ran act that offered up an alternative ideology away from the usual fucking and fighting of Oasis and co. But in the 2020s they've just gotten stratospherically great. 2022's First Congregational Church of Eternal Love and Free Hugs was a straight up masterpiece of a record, flush with ambition and a delightful tongue-in-cheek kind of vibe. Its 2024 follow-up Natural Magic was also great, turning down a more direct pop route and hitting some great sing-along highs in the process. And now we have Wormslayer, which has a bloody good go at trying to knock First Congregational off its perch as the best Kula album. It doesn't quite succeed, but it does get admirably close. On this, Kula steer away from the lighter pop of Natural Magic and redirect their attention towards churning rockist psychedelia. There's a lot of really good guitar work on the record that gives it a thrilling edge. The album also has a nice, hazily clam-baked overall atmosphere. It's definitely an album to break out the joss sticks for and do some mantra chanting. If that's not your cup of tea, you can always just do a J or have a sly wank. Anyway, highlights from a consistently entertaining ride would include Charge of the Light Brigade, which slaps with its gnarly polemic tinged rock, as Crispin Mills snarls of a master that's a warmongering whore and villains drinking blood in the shadows. I wonder who he could be talking about. Broker's Folk is an amazing psychedelic epic. Its chorus instantly blasts off towards the stratosphere, while the organ performance on the track hooks your ears and refuses to let go. Be Merciful has a bittersweet melody powering its slowly building autumnal balladry. The Winged Boy kicks ass with its moody atmosphere. The moment where the guitars properly kick in is just goosebump city. Mwah! Chef's kiss, that's the most awesome bit of guitar histrionics I've heard for quite a while. While title track Wormslayer has a delightfully ethnic streak running through its ridiculously epic 7.5 minute psychedelic rock opus. So yeah, add in the robustly catchy single cuts Lucky Number and Good Money and the epic soiree guitar break of Little Darling, and you have another great record from Kula that keeps them on the course of being one of the most consistently entertaining bands of the 2020s. 4.5 stars.
Your cash and there's my cash. And your cash is also my cash, which is also your cash, but that's also always my cash. Do you understand?
So, coming in first place this week and taking home the Chuchu Reviews gold medal, we have Makeup Is a Lie by Morrissey from 2026, which is the Bard's 14th solo LP. And boy oh boy, Morrissey has had a real rough couple of years. It seems like everybody and their dog wanted to pile on the Morrissey hate train. After sliding to the political right on hot button topics such as immigration and being his usual inflammatory self in interviews, Morrissey set off a devastating tsunami of backlash that's still in the process of actively trying to kill him off. But the thing is, Morrissey is indestructible. He's a musical legend of the highest order and one that won't be gagged or beaten into submission by people who disagree with his opinions. It's kind of ironic how people on the left talk glowingly about the right of free speech and then go out of their way to persecute anyone that says something that they don't like. That sucks, as does having to talk about all of this crap, but with Morrissey it just can't be avoided these days. That said, do I agree with Morrissey's political stances? Not really. I mean, I do think he's a bit misguided in some of his ideas, but I also do respect his right to voice his opinions. I mean, it's not like he's out there serial killing children, or even anything that's remotely nefarious. He's just said some words that pissed off liberal crybabies and made them have a fucking tantrum. This resulted in his previously planned album, Bonfire of Teenagers, being indefinitely shelved, and it also made it difficult for him to find a record label to call his own, which is retarded. It's Morrissey, for Christ's sake, one of the greatest music artists to ever tread the boards. Even when this album was finally released, the majority of reviews stank of ulterior motives and cancel culture agendas. Morrissey always used to say that the press were out to get him, and that feels truer than ever these days. Oh my god, it's just all so fucking tiring. Anyway, time to remember that yes, there is a new Morrissey album out there. It actually exists, and it's also very good. On this one, the Bard significantly changes up his style, meshing together elements of synthpop, indie rock, and even flashes of dancey funk. It's a really ambitious record that pays a lot of attention to atmospheric and cohesive texturing. On that specific level of artistry, Makeup Is a Lie actually sets a new benchmark for Morrissey. The album really does feel like a concrete whole rather than a group of disparate songs. There's also a delightful 1980s type of feel to the record that's kind of hard to explain, but is definitely there. Maybe it's the production tone on the guitars? I don't know, but the album does have a nice retro kind of ring to it. As for highlights, that would be pretty much everything. The record is markedly consistent. Even the dirgy likes of Boulevard and Many Icebergs Ago do their jobs of deepening the album's swirling atmosphere. The consistent nature of the LP actually came as a surprise as, in all honesty, I wasn't really impressed by the first two singles, Makeup Is a Lie and especially Notre Dame. But they work excellently within the context of the record. The title track is all about that typical Morrissey vocal hook in the chorus, and that hits those nostalgia buttons hard. While Notre Dame, despite initially appearing as too slight an electronica tune, works like gangbusters in the tracklist and really gets the album's overall atmosphere going. Elsewhere, the bangers come rolling in hot and heavy. The band's spacious take on Roxy Music's Amazona is great. The screaming guitar break on the tune is so cool. Zoom Zoom the Little Boy is a lot of fun with its super cute roll call of animals in the chorus. The night pop dropped surprises with its unexpected sojourn into 1970s disco funk, plus it's catchy as all hell. While the steadily shimmering Ka-Ching Ka-Ching is awesome as Morrissey spits. She's the lover you can never leave. She tells you you're not good enough, not rich enough, not man enough, not fast enough, not you enough. You don't joke enough because you just do not take coke enough. Of course, the ultimate highlight comes in the form of the closer, The Monsters of Pig Alley. Alan White's gorgeously jangly guitars frame a Morrissey vocal performance that's just to die for. The gentle catharsis that comes rolling in off his vocal inflections are just so damn beautiful. As a lifelong Morrissey fan, that shit just makes my heart melt. So yeah, add in the punchy opener, You're Right It's Time, and the amusingly snarky art rock of Headache, and you have what is, at least in my opinion, Morrissey's best album since You Are the Quarry. So welcome back, Morrissey, it's been far too long. 4.5 stars. And that's another episode of Chuchu Reviews in the bag. Of course, I know you'd rank these records differently, so feel free to sound off in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and all that other kind of YouTube jazz. Make sure to take care of yourself, but most importantly, just keep on ranking.
Words that we never believed we'd stay. higher you climb.